Let's nuke the bridge we've torched 2,000 times before. This time, we'll blast it all to hell. I've had this burning in my guts now for so long, my belly's aching now to say. Greetings, people of YouTube. Welcome back to
Pick the Bass.
I've got some questions. Is Green Day really a punk rock band? Is it possible that Green Day is the biggest punk rock band of all time? I think the answer to both of these questions is yes.
Yes!
Green Day has been kicking ass with their unique take on punk rock since 1986. In that time, they've sold over 75 million records. They have an award-winning play. They have a movie coming out.
They're in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame.
Who would have thought that a band originally called Sweet Children that was started by 14-year-olds would still be playing nearly 40 years later and have accomplished so much? Green Day is a force of nature, and Mike Dirnt is the thunder in their storm. Come along with me as I explore what makes Mike Dirnt a bass-playing badass.
Let's do this.
Michael Ryan Pritchard, better known to us as Mike Dirnt, was born in 1972 in Oakland, California. He was given the Dirnt moniker by his friends as it was the sound that he would make while he was playing air guitar. He met future bandmate Billy Joe Armstrong when he was 10 years old. They began learning guitar together, and when they were 14, they started their first band, which would eventually become Green Day. Mike spent a lot of time at the infamous 924 Gilman Street Club. I always wanted to go to a show, or even better, play a show at Gilman. Best I could do was pop in for a photo a handful of years ago.
But anyway, Mike and Gilman Street.
He went to shows there. He played shows there. He even spent some time there as a security guard. One of the main Gilman Street bands was Operation Ivy, whose bassist, Matt Freeman, was a huge influence on Mike. If you'd like to hear more about Matt, you're in luck. I've already put out a video on Operation Ivy, Rancid, and Matt.
You should go watch that next.
Green Day released their first LP, 39 Smooth, in 1990. Everything pretty much snowballed after that. They joined forces with drummer Trey Cool and started touring nationally. In 1991, they released their second LP, Kerplunk. By 92, they were touring full-time, and in 93, they started touring internationally. It was in 93 that they signed with Reprise Records. This killed their reputation in the punk scene. They played their final Gilman Street show on September 3rd of 1993, being banned after that
For being major label sellouts.
They immediately went into pre-production for their next LP and major label debut. Finally, in February of 93, Green Day released their third LP, Dookie, and since then they've been a household name. I still remember the first time I heard Green Day. It was summer of 94, right before I started high school. It was late at night, and I was in the basement watching television. 120 Minutes was on, and they premiered the video for Longview.
It rocked my world.
The music, the colors, the attitude, I knew this was for me. I had already started dipping my toes into the raging waters of punk rock, but had really only listened to old school bands like the Ramones, the Clash, and the Sex Pistols. I had no idea how amazing punk rock could be and how important it would be in my life. Green Day introduced me to 90s West Coast punk, and I will forever be grateful. You know what they say, you never forget your first. Mike Dirnt was my first proper bass hero. It would be months before I discovered bands like Rancid and NoFX, and to a 14-year-old, months is practically a lifetime.
For an android, that is nearly an eternity.
So for what seemed like a lifetime, it was just Mike, me, and my bass, and I wanted to be like Mike. Before I had the skills to learn their songs, I would put Dookie on, mute my strings, and just strum along in time pretending I was killing it. At some point, my mom learned how to play Longview and taught it to me. I had unlocked my first Green Day song, and it was a huge step for me. It was my first awesome punk rock bass line, but it sure wouldn't be my last.
It's not my first or my last.
Few people have ever nailed the mixture of sick bass lines and riding the root notes the way Mike Dirnt does. He's written some of the most iconic bass lines of all time, like Longview and Stewart and the Avenue. He can make your hands hurt just thinking about trying to play the intro to Panic Song. He can make root notes sing like no one else in songs like She and Going to Passalaqua. Mike is the everyman's bass player, but he's also playing at a level that most people could never attain. Mike's tone is the quintessential punk tone. It cuts through everything and it feels great. While he hasn't always used the same gear, the sound is basically a Fender P-Bass through a cranked Ampeg SVT.
Loads of drive and shine.
Mike's been around the block a few times, and he's used just about every amp and bass there is along the way. Back in the day, he mostly played a Gibson Grabber through a Yamaha G100 head and an acoustic 610 cab. These days, he plays his signature Fender P-Bass through a Fender Super Bassman head and matching 610 cab, which he helped design. Fun fact, Dookie was recorded with a rented Fender P-Bass Plus. It was an active PJ setup, but he only used the P pickup. He played through an SVT head and his acoustic 610 cabinet. It's time to go over a few of my favorite Mike Dirnt bass lines. Please don't hate me if I don't mention your favorite tracks. There's way too many great songs, and there are no wrong answers here. Instead, let me know what you would have picked
Down in the comments.
The first track I want to talk about is Longview from the album Dookie.
I don't have to say anything. You already know this one.
There are very few bass lines that can compare to this. This bass line is fun to listen to, fun to play, and will eat your brain if you don't run away.
Check out a bit of the intro.
The next track I want to discuss is She, also from Dookie. This one makes root notes feel sexy, and I'm here for it. From the first note, you know exactly what song you're listening to. This is what bass should sound like. This is the twang that has been warming my heart and eating my brain for over 30 years.
Check out a bit of the intro.
The last song I want to talk about is Stewart and the Avenue from the album Insomniac. Another song with a super catchy intro. Mike definitely loves to dominate the start of a song. He loves to hold down the rhythm with root notes and throw in licks throughout. He's big on hammer-ons. This track is such a great representation of his general style. He's fast, he's precise, and he's relentless. His tone here, as it is basically everywhere, is perfect.
Check out a bit of the intro.
Well, that's Mike. He rules. How do you feel about Mike? What's your favorite Green Day album? Were you at the Green Day show at Nassau Coliseum on December 2nd in 1994?
Because I was.
My favorite Green Day song is King for a Day. What's yours? What other bass players do you want to hear me talk about? Let me know down in the comments. I've been asking for your suggestions at the end of every video, and I'm finally starting to get some answers. I had a different video planned for this week, but I went with Mike at your request, so please, keep it coming. Finally, please make sure you like, subscribe, ring the bell, all the YouTube stuff. I know that it's annoying to hear that all the time, but it really helps. I'm having a great time making these videos, and the more that I know that you're enjoying them, the more that it motivates me to continue. I'll catch you next time, but until then, be excellent to each other. And party on, dudes! See ya.